Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing really well. I miss going to school. I just don't miss getting up early. So I hope you guys are doing fine and keeping up with your work. We're going to start today, and this is about the 99th time I'm trying to record this and get it online, so bear with me here. We're going to go through exactly what stem cells are today and the types of stem cells. Four main types. Embryonic stem cells, which I'm sure you've all heard of, that we discovered in the scientific community in 1998, so relatively recently. Adult stem cells, which were recognized but not really understood a lot prior to the embryonic stem cells. Cancer stems, which we're not going to talk about today. And then finally, the newest and most recently discovered induced pluripotent stem cells. Less than 20 years ago by a Japanese doctor named Shinya Yamanaka, and he won the Nobel Prize for this work in the year 2012. Totipotent stem cells, what are they? Well, they are cells that can make absolutely anything having to do with the embryo, not just the embryo itself, but all of the structures that make sure the embryo can grow and develop. So the umbilical cord, the placenta, all of these structures in addition to the cells that make up the embryo. And the only totipotent cell there is a fertilized egg. Then we have pluripotent stem cells, and pluripotent means plural potential, meaning they can become anything. They've received no instructions, they have not differentiated at all, and if we know the right signals, we can turn them into any of the 220 types of cells that make up our bodies. These are your embryonic stem cells. Multipotent stem cells, again, multiple potential is what this means. They can become many types of things, but not everything. So they have received some instructions. We call these adult stem cells. And there are four types of tissues that they have developed or differentiated into. And they can become any kind of cell within these tissue types. We have the hemopoietic stem cells, which make all different types of blood cells and bone marrow. We have mesenchymal stem cells that make up muscle, bone. It's basically connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, blood vessels. We have endodermal stem cells that can become parts of all of your body organs, but cells that can make up any type of body organ like your liver and your stomach and your lungs. And then you have neural stem cells, which make up the neurons of your brain, your spinal cord, the neurons that travel all throughout your body, and the epidermis, which is your skin. So multipotent or adult stem cells have differentiated a little bit, but can become all different kinds of cells that make up these structures. Then you have unipotent stem cells, and we all know that uni means one. So they have a single potential. These are fully specialized cells that have received all of their instructions and can only do one thing. So they will become very specific skin cells or muscle cells or bone cells. And they can only carry out one very special job. They can only make cells that are exactly like themselves. So you can't ask a skin cell to become a liver cell and do what a liver cell does because it doesn't have the instructions. It doesn't know how. The hierarchy of stem cells is indicated on this diagram, going from totipotent to pluripotent to multipotent to unipotent. And it appears by the arrows that this is a one-way street. So as cells differentiate, as they keep getting further instructions, they become less and less able to do more and more things. So the fewer the instructions they have, the more capability they have to do things. Until Shinya Yamanaka did his research, we always thought this was a permanent one-way street, that once a cell had received its instructions, that was it. A skin cell will always be a skin cell and can never do anything else. But Shinya Yamanaka had patients who needed some kind of research, some kind of help, because they were paralyzed. He dealt with people with spinal cord injuries. In his thinking, he would wonder, all of us might wonder, how are cells different from one another? They all have the same DNA in their cells. The DNA, half of it came from mom, half came from dad. How can they be different? Well, in studying, and this took a lot of years, he found out that it's the genes. There are thousands of genes in our DNA, and not all of them are activated all the time. So in a skin cell, genes are activated that make a skin cell be a skin cell, and different genes are activated in a liver cell to make a liver cell be a liver cell. So they get different instructions that way. If we can figure out what turns them on, those genes, if we can figure out how to turn those genes off, maybe a skin cell doesn't have to be a skin cell anymore. And that's exactly what he did. He found the signals, and they are 4 proteins that activate the expression of genes. And if we can keep those genes from being turned on, we can take cells back to their pluripotent state. So we'll continue on with their use and everything tomorrow, but that is pretty much the types of stem cells we have. There's a lot of vocabulary here, so make sure you understand, and if you don't, ask questions. Thanks. See you tomorrow.